that I can possibly be.
Super cool.
That's as short as I can do.
I love it. That was short and sweet.
Okay,
I love it. That was a
good.
good intro. Yeah.
Good.
Excellent. And then I see Marielle joined us. Hey,
Hey.
welcome. I love your pink salt, Himalayan salt. Cool. We were just doing a little bit of an intro. Marielle, if you want to give us an intro of who you are.
Sure. This is my first time. I don't know if you run these often, but I'm working on my coaching business and learning technology, mics, and video, and hooking up through Zoom and Facebook Live and some of that technology with that. And so I had earlier asked you about webcams, and I so appreciated your kindness and awesome advice and big
Totally.
And another, and I know that another question that I'll have down the line is hooking up external mics, and maybe it's not a big deal, but I am learning technology.
Sweet. Awesome. And that is a perfect segue. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen here. I put together this little bit of a presentation just to introduce me. Just I feel like it's important sometimes to have a little credibility, and also it was a kind of a fun time kind of reflecting on all these like amazing brands that I've gotten to work with over the past few years to help tell their story visually. It's been a lot of documentary work. That's been my primarily style with the brands I've worked with. And then I've also done a lot of YouTube stuff. And so I have experience both in front and behind the camera, which, it's that discomfort thing when you're comfortable behind the camera to getting out in front of the world. And I just kind of want to tee up a little bit about how I think just the way my brain has been working lately around video and what's at the core. Also, feel free, I want this to be conversational, so interrupt me, ask questions. I don't want to just give a lecture, but I want this to be conversational. And so the way I kind of see the rings of a digital communication, at the core of everything is the purpose. It's who we are, why we do what we do, the impact we want to have, and kind of honing that in is I find the first step in when I'm trying to communicate something, whether it's through myself or through a brand that I'm helping. Why are we here? And that then dictates the communication strategy. And the communication then becomes, who are we reaching? What are we telling them? Why is now the right time to tell them this? And that kind of dictates what the message is going to be. And then finally, on the outer rim is the digital world. And this is the way I perceive all the distribution channels we have available, all the technology tools that help us get a message from A to B and shared and all these things. And so another way to look at that here is we all have a voice. I think we all have something meaningful to share with the world. And when we get clear on our purpose, that then dictates our communication strategy. And then we can bring it to the digital world. And the way I've been kind of thinking about it is the purpose and the communication strategy are all very soft skills. And then the barrier into the digital world is all the technology. And so we have smartphones, we have webcams, we have microphones, all these tools. And now that we're all kind of in lockdown, I feel like we've been confronted with, oh my gosh, I have to somehow recreate the human experience virtually. And now there's all these tools in the way of sharing that message. I think it's a powerful thing because we can reach a lot of people digitally. Messages can easily get shared. And we have the ability to impact potentially a lot more lives from our homes than we would otherwise trying to be in the real physical world. Cool. So with that, I'd love to hear a little bit about just some, if people can quickly chime in, why you're interested in video, what you're hoping to kind of get out of it, and whether it's for yourself or for clients. I'd love to just get some context around this conversation today. So I'd love to open that up and just hear from you all and see what everyone's thinking.
I guess I'll go. I don't have a specific need right this minute. for myself personally. But I know that I need to branch out that way. I do a lot of writing and a lot of written content. And I know to expand on my message, I'm going to have to go with video just to have that different viewpoint. We all learn differently, you know, and but I do have a lot of friends that I'm trying to help with their strategies. And so I can share that knowledge as well. So that's kind of my basic premise right now.
Cool. Thank you.
I'll go next.
Great.
So I have two main reasons to learn about videos and making videos. So one is for myself. So kind of like Susan, I have generated content that's more, you know, text-based. So long form and short form content, yet video remains the last frontier for me. So I want to get more confidence and knowledge and know how to tackle that area as I think about my content creation strategy and process. So that's main purpose. And then my second reason or purpose for learning is so in what I do is mainly what I do is help clients build their client pipeline. So I want to think about how video content can help accelerate the building of that pipeline for my clients. So I'm learning, to, you know, in the hopes that I can pick up some tips and tricks from you, Christian, on how that could be, you know, piece and parcel to an overall, you know, lead gen, prospecting strategy and process.
Cool. Awesome. Anybody else?
I'll go. This is Leslie.
Yep.
And so for me, you know, I have a specific message that I want to get out there, and I want women to do something as a result of what I say and teach them about. And I think part of what I might be coming to realize is that people don't always do things based off of logic or information. They do things off of emotion. You know, I think we can cite plenty of examples of that. And I think video, if done right, can evoke the emotion that, you know, reading a paragraph may not be able to do. And so while, you know, I am not so incredibly keen to be on a bunch of videos myself, I'll do it if I have to. Okay. So it's like, but, you know, I want to learn exactly what it is that is going to make them, you know, do the thing for themselves that they really want to do.
Totally. Awesome. Cool.
Yeah.
Thanks for sharing.
Yep.
All right. Alex, go ahead.
So for me, I think I just want to, number one, have a strategy in place of kind of how I would distribute the videos, what I would talk about, because I'm a little unsure of, you know, what topics would be interesting to people, but I really want to focus on video because this was even a goal before all the shelter in place, but now it's been accelerated, was I wanted to have videos kind of showcasing me talking about my process or my thoughts on design, just so that people could get a feel for how I think, how I interact with them. Because I've had a lot of success, like, you know, with in-person networking, but my long-term goal is to be able to attract clients who are located anywhere. And by seeing that video, they can kind of get a feel for me. And even within the past couple of weeks, I've seen some of my LinkedIn connections that I haven't met in person start to post videos. And I've gotten a feel kind of for how they talk, how they think. And I've reached out to them and we've connected through, you know, virtual coffee chats, and they've been really productive. And I probably wouldn't have done that if I didn't see their videos just on my timeline, because it felt like I kind of knew them a little bit, or I could at least see, okay, they're a real person, they're legit, they're not just some random person that I added. So definitely trying to focus in and come up with the strategy, I think, is probably my top thing.
Love it. Cool, man. Thank you.
I'll go. For me, as a creative, a lot of my work is very visual, using Lego as a communication tool. And so video is a great way to kind of show what I'm talking about. and what I mean, and showing that it's fun and it's a creative process, and that people can kind of visually capture that and connect with it a lot better. And then also just through starting to do like live streams and other types of formats, how I can chop those up and use those for kind of like video assets to continue the conversation and keep my message getting out there.
Sweetness. Awesome. Thank you. Thank you.
Could I tag on to what Benjamin just said, Christian? So
Go for it.
I've been also contemplating how to repurpose like recordings that I do with clients that where they of course give me the permission or it's not proprietary. Like I do want to, create a content library by not having to reinvent the wheel every single time. So I would love to get your thoughts on how best to approach that idea.
Yeah, for sure. No, love that. Definitely had some conversations earlier about that, and can definitely share some insights too. Excellent. Brad's coming in. Marielle, did you have anything to add on these webinars and Zoom chats that you want to be doing?
Maybe not too much, kind of along
Cool.
the same lines as some of what the others have been saying. Just getting more comfortable.
Right on. Love it. Love it. Cool. Welcome, Brad. We were just wrapping up intros and then some use cases as far as like the kind of use cases that we're interested in implementing video into our daily life and businesses. Care to do a quick intro for us real quick? Can't hear you.
You guys hear me now?
Yeah, we're good.
You guys do hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been trying to use these ear pods, and for some reason I've just been having trouble with them every time. I'm like, I'm going to give it one more try this time, and it just fails. Christian, good to see you. Thanks for having me.
Likewise.
I apologize, I'm a little late. Brad Domash. I work in the live event space for a company called Live Nation, and yeah, I'm just, I've been trying to, obviously there's no events going on right now, and the volume of work to do, for my job at least is a fraction of what I'm normally used to. And so I'm trying to use this time to just continue to meet people and learn and grow. So that's why I want to hop on.
Sweet, man. Welcome. Excellent. Well, thank you all for sharing. A lot of great things, from being present on camera to understanding how do we make this a repeatable process that can then create more content at scale. And what I think I have some information a little bit about just the framing and how to leverage smartphones to make a beautiful image, like a clean and framed image. So just have a little bit of content to run through real quick, but then I'd love to dive deeper into some of these use cases that you were all bringing up to get to more of like a strategic, right? But I think the tech part is important. As a filmmaker, there are some a lot of nuances to filmmaking that I see a lot of people not implementing on LinkedIn, and it just makes it for more of an effective way to deliver that message that you want to get across. So can you guys see my screen? Can you still see the screen? Okay, excellent. So at a really high level, a good frame and a good image on video comes down to three things: the framing, the lighting, and the sound. And the framing is this box that we're all in right now. And here we have the opportunity to kind of add some personality to your environment. And that's like kind of like the pixels in the box that we're working with. And this is all the visual channel. The lighting, right? We want to make sure that we're well lit. I'm lit and not my background. And the lighting is just an important way to have a balanced aesthetic, right? So a lot of people will have light sources behind them, which kind of makes for a shadowy face. And these are all like small things that can inhibit a message, right? If the video quality is a little low. So I always recommend having as natural light as much as you can on you, and try to minimize all the lights that are shining from behind, because that will make your face a little bit darker. And then sound, smartphones or laptops, if you're in a quiet room, Otherwise, external microphones, like you see here, I've got this microphone, AirPods. These are all nice ways just to condense and remove background noise, whether we're in a webinar or we're actually creating content for posting. And again, obviously I use a lot of these tools with professional equipment, but all these principles apply with our smartphones because these are honestly great tools that we have in our pockets. And when it comes to framing this, there's two ways to recommend it, right? It's either your center and frame, and I recommend this is like when you're creating a direct message with your audience. Being center, you're connecting with your audience, and the alternative is kind of positioning off to 1/3 of the next. And so you can see here, Callie, she's the founder at Canine Therapy Corps in Logan Square. These are a couple of stills that we have from interviews we've done with her. The left here, where she's center frame, this was a video commercial intended to sell her dog training classes. And so we thought it was important to position her as a center because she's making a direct connection with her audience and she wants to be in like this position of authority, of the expert. And then on the right-hand side is more, that was more of an interview. This was her telling her origin story of how she started this company. And so here my intention was to place her a little bit to the left to make it feel more of like a conversational piece, not so direct. And also, I would also recommend doing this framing when you have maybe additional information, right? Because here we have some space in the top right corner where sometimes you can overlay some additional graphics or imagery to help emphasize a message. And now place, right? So place is what's going to ground your video in reality. Okay, so I see this often, right? And here is an example from one of my commercial videos that I'm doing for myself. And so I could just do it here in my room, but what I wanted to do intentionally was set up my videos. So you can see in the background, I have a studio backdrop. I have my big lighting, my professional audio equipment. So here my thinking was create some credibility that I'm a video guy and I want to show you that I'm recording from a studio. There are some business owners, for example. Another good example from earlier this morning is I was talking with a couple ladies who they are, professional organizers. Their mission is to go out and organize and clean homes. And when we were doing this little video challenge, they were uploading videos and not showing their home. And I kind of told them, if you want to show people and make it believable that and you have some credibility in what you're doing, I recommend kind of setting up the frame where we can see you in your home and the way it's organized, right? So place is going to be important to ground the story in reality. And so obviously at home, we might be a little limited in that, but just something to keep in mind is what you have behind you can actually visually reinforce the message that you're trying to get across.
Can I ask a question here, Kristen?
Yeah, sure thing.
So in what I do, it's right, not high tech. It's right, a lot of consultations and discussions with clients and a lot of thinking work on my own.
Sure.
And so like, how do I, so two things to my question, right? One is like right now that, we're limited, like I don't have anything really fancy other than my home, which is lovely, but it's not right that perfect or what I deem perfect, right? Yeah. Super fancy office environment. And then on top of that, like, because of what I do, which is center on interaction, like there's like, except for my significant other who should be holding the camera, like I have nobody else to like, sort of mock, right, to do a mock interaction with, to film. So like, based on those two challenges or limitations, like what would be your advice for video that would be true, right, to me, on brand with what I do, and really, frankly, low to medium hassle level, given what we're working through.
Yeah. So just to clarify, are these video conversations you're having with clients, or is this over the phone, or what's the?
Yeah. So let me see if this helps. So I'm thinking like, of trialing out, and you're and I are going to talk more about this tomorrow, by the way. So, but some of my content that I want to trial as video, a lot of it's about right interaction or the dynamics of interaction with people. So like, how do I, outside of so I think this is more about substance right now, like this particular question. So like, how do I capture the essence or the energy from something that's supposed to be interactive when it's just me talking to the camera? Does that make sense?
Got it. Yeah. No, I hear you.
Right. And then on top of that, my place, right? My setting right now is, it's my home, but it's got like wine bottles on my shelf behind me. And then like, right. I mean, I have a really lovely little office, you know, working area, but again, it's nothing grand. It certainly isn't that, you know, sparkly polish brand that I pay money to build.
Totally.
So how do I sort of, you know, work through that?
Yeah, no, great question. So first thing, I think from a video quality perspective, just a place that has good lighting, and the background can be plain, right? As long as it's just lit well, I think is going to be totally effective. Neutral is better than, you know, stuff that might take away from it, right? So in this example, I'm adding, but neutral is going to be great, okay? Second thing is you are talking about having this interaction. And so I think one of them is, are these things that you talk about with people? Like, are you in conversations about these topics?
Yeah.
So my recommendation, taking advantage of, we're all at home, we're in digital conversations, is what I've seen working really well. And my theory too, in creating really powerful content is going to come when you're having an actual real one-on-one conversation. And so if you're in these conversations with people, take advantage of recording it through Zoom versus trying to set up a mock scenario on a phone. And so you could be in a conversation, and then that can be shared, if that makes sense.
Okay. Got it. Cool. That's helpful. Thank you.
Awesome. Yeah, cool. Good questions. Sweet. So again, this is like, we're talking about filming with the phone, right? And I kind of did a video about this earlier. Actually, Sylvia, thanks to your comment for wanting to expound upon this. And camera angles, it's something so subtle, but it can be so effective, right? And so my camera here is at eye level, and this is in Hollywood films, they use camera angles to elicit emotions to the viewer. And so a lot of the times I see people like literally defaulting to holding their camera like by their waist while they film a video, and they're trying to express their thoughts, express their authority. And most of the time the ideas are great, the message is super clear, but the angle may be impacting subconsciously. And so a low angle in films is for the subject to be perceived as superior. Eye level is a neutral presence, so you and I are on the same playing field, and a high angle is so the subject is perceived as inferior. And so it's not something like you're going to pick up on consciously, but these are like subconscious tricks that filmmakers use to elicit that emotion in our viewer. And so just something to keep in mind, whether it's through a webcam or through your cell phone, eye level is usually the best route. Right. I don't know of any such situations where you want to be perceived as inferior or superior, especially when we're building business relationships through LinkedIn. Neutral is the mode to go for sure. So 3 variables that are going to impact video quality, and this is in order of priority. First and foremost is going to be your message. A bad message is going to fail to connect even if there's good audio and quality. So the message is super key. It's got to be relevant to the person you're speaking to and timely. Audio is second. Now this is an interesting one because you would think that video is more important than audio. But if you have poor audio with good video quality, the message will get lost, right? And then lastly is video, right? So even if you have a video with poor quality, and you still have good audio, the message is still going to get there. So these are 3 things to keep in mind: message, audio, and video, and in this order of what makes a quality video content. And here are just some ideas, right? So I think these are some of the ones that I try to keep in mind, especially when I'm on a platform like LinkedIn, some video concepts, a problem solution. It's like, hey, we see this problem in an industry, or we see this problem in a particular area. Here's my solution, right? So the example of the camera angle was one of mine. The problem is you may not be realizing that you're instilling fear into your audience by filming low. The solution, film at eye level. And so that's an example. Demonstrations are also really good. I think, Alex, you mentioned wanting to kind of show your design process. And so I think there's an opportunity to do like demonstrations. And this is a great way to show, this is how I think. Same with problem solution. This is how I think tactically about challenges that I help. Slice of life is more of a personal thing. And this one's kind of inspired by a post I read about relating to people from 5 to 9. And so that's everything you're doing between 9 to 5 is your job, but all your personal stuff happens between 5 to 9. And so slice of life is I think there's room to introduce personal things that happen in your life, just to add a little bit more personality. Impact stories, testimonial videos, just stories of how you've transformed a client you've worked with or the results that they've gotten as a result of you. I don't see this enough on LinkedIn, to be honest. I feel like there's a good place for it. I see a lot of people like feature those stories on their profile. So the moment you go to a profile, you see 3 videos of client interviews, which I think is a great tool to use that there. And then lastly, reasons why. Again, this is just saying, hey, here's something I think about the industry or design, and this is why I think it. And I think what I find really successful on LinkedIn, people who are trying to develop thought leadership, expertise, is just all these are kind of some ideas of how we can show our thinking and our approach to our businesses. And then other things we haven't talked about here, but are like webinars and Zoom conferences, that is something we can also dive into, which wasn't listed here. And that's pretty much it from my presentation. So just hoping to give some ground level work as far as like video framing and stuff like that. But yeah, we have some time here, so we can like brainstorm ideas if you guys want to talk a little bit more like strategically, ask any questions. So we can open it up here for a group discussion.
My question, in general, is there a lot of editing required? Like, I've never done video at all, so.
So that's a really good question. So there are tools out there that make it really easy. And do you have, I guess just a quick poll, is anyone using Windows computer or Apple or? Okay, everyone else, I'm assuming you have MacBooks.
I'm using.
I have Windows, I guess.
This is my personal
Mac. Definitely Mac.
Yeah, so I find the Apple products to have a lot easy and free editing tools. But to your point, Susan, there are some software tools out there that make it really easy to take the editing out of the equation. And so an example of that is Adobe Spark Video. Now, this is actually a great tool. I can follow up and link it and share it with everyone. But it's cool, right? Because you walk through this interface and it's like templatized for you. And it even helps you tell the story. It has like 8 different story types, and it'll give you the framework that then you kind of just can use that as your outline, film some videos, and just pop it in, and then it'll complete it all for you. So Adobe Spark is a really cool tool to take advantage of.
That's great to know. Thank you.
For sure.
I have a question.
Yeah.
With your, I used to have a mic that had a direct USB input into the computer, and I got rid of that. I have some high-end mics.
Okay.
What kind of interface do you use? Or I used to sing a lot, so
okay.
Of course I had
some pro audio with that.
Yeah, but if I want to put it through my computer, what are your thoughts?
So, and the camera, is your camera or your audio input, is that USB?
Yay, on my, or what do you mean?
Like, on your laptop, is it, most interfaces are going to be with the USB port, unless you're talking about investing into like higher quality microphones. Is that what you're leaning towards?
Well, I have high quality microphones, and if I were to use a different microphone other than, this, then I'd So what would be the easiest way to?
Sure. So like this microphone is like it's a really high quality mic, and it's USB. Otherwise, some of the production grade audio equipment, you might be familiar with XLR input. Is that something you're familiar with? So USB for sure. Otherwise, when you get higher end, there's an audio input called XLR. And that's what they use at like, with professional, like big industrial audio equipment. With that, still at the end of the day, you get a converter to plug into the USB. So I think that's how it's all going to interface to your computer at the end of the day. Does that answer your question?
Sure. And I often think of those, the mics with USB outputs or so as less cheaper, I guess. But are they really worth it? Like, yeah.
So the the USB input itself is just the interface. The quality is going to come down to the actual microphone.
Yeah.
And so Blue, this is the brand Blue, is a really great brand. They have really affordable entry level microphones. I think that start around $50. This one I think is about 90, but these are really good. And so the USB interface shouldn't be, that doesn't degrade the quality. It'll be kind of in the hardware that captures your voice.
Okay. Okay, probably what I could do is take rather than getting a new mic, what I could do is take one of my nice mics, go ahead and set up that Pro Audio interface, and then just hook it through a USB to the computer.
Totally. And I can help you with that too. I can know exactly what you're using, and I can help you if you're interested with that.
Oh, thank you.
Cool.
I had a quick one.
Yeah.
Well, maybe not so quick, but what are your thoughts on actually coming, from like a content and messaging perspective?
Sure.
What are your perspectives on how to actually come up with a content strategy, or what kind of content should I be putting out? What are the steps you take to figure that out?
Sure. So, and I guess from the context of, are you trying to reach potential clients or?
I guess you could speak on any, on whether it's potential clients or personal brand or whatever, but I think more so just broadly, like what are you say, what are like the questions you ask, or what's your sort of framework for thinking about it?
Totally. That definitely changed recently. Because before I would find myself fumbling. What do I write? What do I write? Just trying to make up scenarios in my head. And I think whether you're talking to consumers or to other business owners, it's going to come down to listening. And my theory is great content is when you can, listen to what's on top of people's minds and deliver something valuable of whatever's in. So I found myself a lot in, there's so many webinars happening right now where people are sharing expertise, challenges, industry things, yada, yada. So from my perspective, I've been, engaging with people on LinkedIn, listening to the questions that they're coming up, joining webinars and just listening. And then using that to then dictate, okay, how can I answer this question that didn't get answered on a webinar through a post? And so that's kind of like the loop that I've been kind of going through, instead of thinking, what do I make? I listen and I let the audience or the persona that I'm trying to reach dictate that for me.
I have a question about, say I wanted to do some educational videos to post on social media.
Mm-hmm.
I think that over time, our attention span as a human species is getting less and less all the time.
Yep.
So do you have an ideal length or a thought about how long something like that should be so that people don't click out of it in the middle?
Yep. So my question to you is, well, okay, that's a great, I don't have a question yet. I love that. And I totally agree. Right. So on platforms, there's going to be shorter limitations. Right. And so the way I think educational stuff is evergreen. It lasts forever. And especially if it's something that people can search for. And so when I think about educational content, the first place I think of is YouTube. That's where a lot of people are teaching stuff. And so I personally would create, and when people are on YouTube, YouTube is also a high intent platform where people are looking and searching for specific information. So when there's high intent, people are more likely to engage for 10, 15, 20 minutes. On social media, people don't go there to learn necessarily. They're going there to do other things. And so if you post and try to educate people in a context where people are just checking statuses, hanging out with friends, they may not engage with that video as long as they would if they're looking for it on YouTube. And so I think YouTube would be the home for this content. And then you use your other digital channels to kind of be like, hey, this is some new information that we have available. Come check it out on our YouTube page.
Oh, okay. So the social media little video clips would be just a tickler. or a method of getting them to more in-depth information if they want to do it, and that would be on YouTube.
Totally. And
Okay, that makes sense.
and
Yeah.
that kind of, that's a good segue because I've been seeing some YouTubers do it well. Each platform has its nuances, it has its culture, and level of engagement. And so I think over time, I'm starting right now on LinkedIn. That's where I'm going heavy. I pick one channel that I want to go heavy on. And then over time, I can start to figure out how do I branch out and make exclusive content on these other platforms. So YouTube exclusive content, then Instagram exclusive, but then it's all the same ecosystem, the same brand, your same identity, but you can use these other channels to then bring people to where you share more exclusive content pillars.
Got it. Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Christian, can I ask a sort of philosophical question about video
I love
making?
those, yeah.
So how do you feel about people putting out content for the sake of just putting out content? Like, for instance, on LinkedIn, and I don't mean to be harsh, I'm just really trying to wrap my head around this. Like, I see, right, people put out videos of random shit. Sorry to say that, but it's sort of like, right, it's either not on brand or it's not on message with, you know, the business. It's just literally like someone eating a hamburger. Like, so like, but yet there's this sense that, right, any eyeballs, right, any attention is good.
Mm-hmm.
What's your take on that?
I'm so glad you brought this up. Video content is a double-edged sword. And so, yes, it's going to make you visible, but then you're going to have to understand, how are people going to perceive that? Are they going to perceive you as, hey, here's the person that keeps popping up and they're generous and they're giving great value and it's something relevant and timely? Or are you going to perceive that person as, man, I see this person pop up all the time, but I don't really get it. I'm confused. What's their game? I don't really understand. And so that's something to keep in mind. There's a lot of voices out there that say more video, more visibility. Right. But that visibility has a double edge, and it's going to impact the way people perceive your brand depending on how intentional you're being with it.
And I just want to jump in on that. I've seen some people that if they don't change the background, I look at it and I'm like, wait, did I already see that one? And I know some people, they'll do like a video every single day, but then the background's always the same too. And I'm like, wait, I think I saw that one. And I don't know.
Yeah, that's a great point. And so place, right? Place, and I think a key thing here too is introducing visual novelty to content, right? And someone who I see do that well is Tanya Pluckrose, I believe is her name. And she is always, all her videos are in a different backdrop. And so I think I see her doing different ones, which is a good sign, right? Because I actually fell into that trap last year where I thought it would be a good idea to make 10 videos in one sitting, but it was the same backdrop, the same t-shirt. And over time, that just was less and less interesting to people because they were like, even though I was saying different things, they were like, it's the same video. People just think it's the same thing. So take advantage of different little vignettes around your home just to keep the visual novelty in there.
Yeah, and I'm not big on video every day. Even from people I really like, I kind of just like, I like to see it mixed up.
Yes. Yeah. That's a great point, Susan, because you can run and operate a successful business or brand without video ever, right? And so I think it's good to have a balance. I try to mix text only, pictures, video. I think too much of one thing becomes noisy. And even from like, if you're thinking from like an algorithm perspective, I think LinkedIn, conspiracy, they favor more variety. But as a platform itself, text only is the best performance. I kind of did an audit of the last 2 months. Text only got the most visibility. And then second was text and photo, and then video. And the last one is resharing posts. That for some reason is the least performance.
Right. And it hates when you use a link that's not native to LinkedIn.
Yeah. I'm curious to take a poll. I know, Alex, you and I have talked about this, but what is everyone's sentiment on getting a personal outreach video in your inbox? Has anyone seen that before, or have you sent it?
What is that actually? I'm not sure.
just like me recording a video, instead of writing you an email, I'm sending you a video into your inbox or into LinkedIn chat.
I've not received one of those before. So I get, my instinct is I wouldn't mind it, but I guess I'd have to see it play out because I haven't seen it before.
The first time I got one, I thought it was really weird because it was somebody I didn't know. And I was like, what the? And I'm more used to it now, but a lot of times I don't listen to a lot of video because I have people around or I am playing music. And so I don't like a lot of sound. I like to just read stuff. And so if it's a video, I actually won't play it until later. But sometimes it's not so bad. Like I got one today and it was actually interesting and it was really friendly but I don't know, I'm iffy on it.
Cool.
What do you think?
For sharing.
And for me, I knew it existed and people do it. And I got my first one from you today.
Hey.
And I loved it. I was like, yeah, let's go.
Cool.
But you knew him.
Before I popped on.
Yeah.
I think it helps when you know somebody.
Well, sure.
Yeah, if it was like a stranger. Yeah.
Exactly.
I've been doing it lately and just trying it. But I think it comes to the same thing. I think the message needs to be relevant and I think it needs to be super relevant. Like Sylvia, you gave me some feedback. I've tried to send these bullseye videos, these really highly edited, just to showcase my skills, but then also make it be like, hey, here's something I noticed and here's a potential way I see about helping you. Like, I think it's effective when you've actually done your homework and you're not just doing a soft, hey, stranger, nice to meet you. We're connected now. That's
So
what I think it.
Okay, so this isn't necessarily just a intro one-time thing. This is, this could be over a period of time. You send several, or as opposed to, if you send a newsletter, or or if you were planning on sending an email, this is just replacement of the email, sending a video.
Correct. Yeah. I'm not talking about like a one-to-many video. I'm talking about, hey, Brad, this video is just for you. That kind of a thing. But yeah, I was just curious to take a poll and see how people would perceive that. But
yeah, it's like I said, if I know the person, I'm perceived a little better than somebody random that I'm like, I don't know.
I think it comes down to message, Christian, to your point, because like I've received audio messages on the LinkedIn message platform. I've seen videos come through from people prospecting me. And I have to say, right, like, even if I didn't know them yet, their message was targeted like to me. They go, hey, I saw you were doing this. I thought I would share that. Then immediately I felt like my wall come down right away. Like the risk was lowered. My guard was down because they were like, oh, they took the time to at least, research me a little bit, to go like, hey, I'm here to serve her. I want to be of value to her. So like, right, be it audio, text format or video, if that message had that substance, I was much more friendlier towards it than just someone go, hey, I do this and this and this. This is what's in it for me to talk to you. And I'd be like, delete.
Right.
Right. Yeah. It could be the fanciest sounding, right, whatever, audio or video. But I'm like, yeah, I think it does, like you said, like that first priority is the substance of the message and the purpose of the message has to just be on point. So yeah, so just want to share that.
Yeah. Cool. Thank you. Alex, did you have something to add?
I'm also curious to know if anybody has gotten the messages and then responded, and how did you respond to them? Because whenever I get them through LinkedIn, especially because, LinkedIn allows you to actually record a video, record audio. So I feel like, do I have to send a video back? Do I have to send an audio message back? My instinct, whenever I've gotten the few that I've gotten, was just to send a text back and be like, oh, thank you, blah, blah, blah. But then I had to think about it and like, oh, should I send a video back? Whereas, and I think, Christian, you've tried this in the past, sending an actual email to somebody with maybe a link to a video. I think that could be more effective because I'm not necessarily expected to record my own video, upload it to YouTube or whatever, and then send them a link. I think like a reply would be fine. So yeah, I'm just curious what everybody thinks. If it's within that actual platform, and that's a feature that you can use, if it feels like you have to respond that way. I felt weird about that, and I just didn't respond.
I feel like maybe the nature of the message is what's important there. Like if it's, for example, like and again, this is without having context of receiving one, so maybe take this with a grain of salt, but if I receive one that's like someone pitching me on something, or trying to if I'm like, it's almost like an ask, then I don't think you should necessarily feel the need to respond that way. But maybe if it's a friendly thing, or it's a colleague or something like that, it's more of a an existing relationship, then maybe that's, you'd be more inclined to respond with another video.
So Alex, this happened to me just last week. So now this is like a second degree contact. She was referred to me by a mutual friend of ours to explore a potential business partnership. And this woman, at first she sent me a message saying, hey, so-and-so refer me, would love to talk. And then I didn't write back just because I was busy. Like I didn't mean to ignore her. But so she sent a second message with a voice message, like saying, hey, like so-and-so refer me, would love to talk to you about X, Y, and Z. I think this is how we might be able to join forces, et cetera, et cetera. And I decided to respond back with a video.
Hey.
I was like, why not, right? Like this is like, hey, she took it, she, stepped up and used an audio. I was like, I'm going to reply back with a video. And she actually responded with an audio message saying, I'm not great on videos. I don't know how to be really casual and natural yet, but I loved yours. And I had thought the whole time that I was weird. Yet it was very well received, but yet she chose the methodology that suited her best. And I just happened to feel very safe about exploring video in this case. It was only like, a 20-second, like, hey, so nice to meet you. I'm so glad you reached out. I'm sorry I didn't reply. I was just busy, right? So I wanted that friendly tone and genuine tone to come through as a mutual friend, right? So it did. I guess like in this case, we both, I think, went out of our comfort zone a little bit in service of building that connection. And yet she stayed within her safety zone of going like, I love that you did it. I'm just not there yet. And I respected that. And we've been trading messages since, whichever way we can at the time. So just wanted to share that positive anecdote with you.
Yeah. I love that you said it, showing up how you feel comfortably. I know I feel super comfortable, and it's fulfilling for me to send videos to people. But yeah, to Alex, your point, I think because there's such a newness around video messages and audio messages, there's always that weirdness that comes with something that's new. Like I've just even had this interaction with this lady I met, Ariani, and like sent her voice message. She called out the weirdness of it. And I was like, yeah, it's a new thing, but I was like, I think it's something that I think is an easy way to make something feel more personal and human. And then I just immediately prompted her, because we kind of came from a webinar. I was like, she's like, I've never done an audio message before. And I was like, all right, your first one is going to be telling me one actionable takeaway that you got from that webinar. And it was so cool, like hearing her voice, and like, instead of I get to get a sense for the person. But yeah, I think whatever people can show up fully in is probably the best route. And yeah, there's like an etiquette, right? Like, I don't think there is an etiquette. Maybe there's just social norms or whatever, but like, who cares about norms? Break them, respond to a video with a text or whatever,
I'm glad you asked the question though, Alex, because I have received them and I've always just written back because I've never done a video. And I'm like, well, this isn't going to be the first time I'm doing it. So I think the first time I do it, I'll do it with Sylvia. I'll just send her.
Yes, please. I would be so delighted to receive your video, Susan.
So cool.
Christian, one more question. I see, some people in my network walking and videoing, like they're trying to, like, I think their intent is to have motion and energy. Yet to me, it's distracting as all hell. Like, I'm like, I don't know where to look. So what's your sense of, right, like, is it prudent to move and do this? Or if it's energy that someone wants to generate or incorporate, is there another better method?
So good question. I think movement can, if used well, emphasize the message. And I think just the interestingness, because those are all movement, framing, all these things are subconscious cues to keep us more engaged with something. But if you go back to the video quality, right, message first, then audio and video. If message is good, audio is good, but the video is shaky and poorly executed, you're going to lose people, right? So if people are doing that and they're kind of like, you can tell that's just like really jittery, if that's something they really care about doing, there's affordable stabilizers for smartphones to actually walk with, and it'll just keep it super smooth to glide with.
Oh, cool. Could you suggest that in the chat or in a follow-up? Like, I can
follow up with some gear. So I can definitely do that. I can follow up. I'll make a note.
And also, have you gotten any questions about how to use iMovies on the iPhone? Like, so I have an iPhone that I record fun videos with, like literally it's like puppy videos. Like, and then I use it to, very basically stitch things together, put music. Do you recommend that as a right tool for, professional video editing? Is that a reasonable avenue for those of us? Yeah.
The benefit there is you record on your phone and you can edit on your phone and upload from your phone. So it's all in one place. And I'm actually impressed. I've used the iMovie video before, and there's actually some pretty good functionality and like editing there. Like, but honestly, at the end of the day, like editing tools, like the most professional thing is just your standard cut. Like there's no really need for fancy transitions or anything. And so I think that I've used iMovie, and if it's pretty easy to navigate around. So definitely, if that's all helpful to your process, I think it's super efficient because you can add titles and little graphics. There's some cool features with that app, actually.
Would you be willing to, at some point, share maybe just like, 2-3 aha moments from using iMovie for those of us who are wanting to use our iPhone as the main video capability?
Let me think. It's been a while since I've used iMovie on my phone.
Sorry, I didn't mean to put you on the spot.
You're good. No, I think you'd be surprised at the capabilities it has, because you can layer videos on top of each other. So you can actually implement
Did not know
B-roll,
that.
right? So if you're familiar with B-roll, it's so B-roll, there can be a thing like if you're just talking and expressing messages, B-roll are the visuals that are over the video to kind of like showcase, right? So if you think about a cooking demonstration, someone's talking about the process, the B-roll is the footage of I'm putting the coffee in here, right? So you can actually film a lot of different things and layer them on top of each other to make that effect. And that was my aha moment. I was like, oh, you can actually do that in iMovie, as well as add a music track too. And it makes it pretty easy just to even add text overlays and add really the audio and the visuals are all ways to add visual reinforcement to a message. And so I think as a tool to add visual reinforcement, it's a great one, from like the most minimal way possible. Bye. Oops,
awesome.
Yeah. Cool.
Thank you. So I didn't mean to put on the spot. I was just super curious how.
No, you're good.
How you think about that.
Yeah. So we're coming up on 6. Honestly, I don't have much going else, but I'm happy to keep talking for those of you who are still interested. But yeah, I really super appreciate everyone who showed up and asked really good questions. These are so fun. So I'm here to hang as long as you all are. So, but I just want to let you know that you have permission to leave if you want.
Yeah, I actually have something at 6 as well, so I'm head out. But Christian, I'm gonna shoot you a note and let's catch up next week.
Brad. Good to see you, Brad. Later.
Nice meeting you all.
Nice to meet you.
Nice meeting everyone.
All right.
Thank you.
Yeah,
everybody.
My kids are making dinner because I had a call, so it's perfect.
Enjoy.
Awesome.
All righty.
Bye.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
Thank you, Kristen. This was great.
Okay, bye.
Have a good night, everybody.
See
You
ya.
too.
Bye for now.